Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about UN peacekeeping mission. What are the roles, responsibilities and functions of UN peacekeeping mission, and what is the contribution of India in this particular mission. So let us understand that why this particular this organization is in news is recently a very top United Nations officials. He has praised, or we can say lauded, the blue helmet peacekeepers from India as well as other countries for thwarting an attack in the Democratic Republic of Congo by the armed group. And mentioning the same incident, UN Under Secretary General for Peace Operation Jean-Pierre Lacroix has said that the movement to 23 Mars, or also known by the name of M23, was the armed group who was responsible behind this attack, and they have been actually active from last couple of weeks in the area of Eastern DRC, that is Democratic Republic of Congo. So not only in this particular scenario, in this particular instance, but also overall, generally India always have played a very important role in the UN peacekeeping mission and is one of the largest troop contributing countries to the UN peacekeeping missions. So let us try to understand this from the data. So if you look at as of the data we got from the number 2021, the contribution of India to the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC, which is abbreviated form is also known by MONUSCO. So for this particular organization, India is at the second number in terms of contributing the troops, which stands at 1,888. The highest number of troops for this particular mission has been contributed by the Pakistan, and the third number is by Bangladesh. Apart from that, if you look at that, the fourth is Indonesia. So what basically we can see that it is mainly the Asian countries which are contributing to a large number of troops in the DRC mission. Similarly, not only in the contribution in the military terms, but the top 10 police contributors again for the MONUSCO mission is in this particular we can say contribution, India's stand is at 5th position, where it has contributed almost 139 police personnel. Here also, if you look at the top contributors for this particular mission in the police itself is the African countries. So what we can basically see that it is largely the African and Asian countries which are contributing a much larger number of troops, whether military or police, as compared to the Western counterparts. So let us try to understand that what is UN peacekeeping mission. So obviously it is a mission that has been developed under the umbrella of United Nations Organization, and it works under the Department of Peace Operations and the Department of Operational Support. So basically it is an initiative of two different departments of UN. If we try to look at the aim of this particular mission, so the aim is to assist the host countries. The host countries means the countries which are hosting the military mission or peacekeeping mission, so that they can transition from the situations of conflict to peace. For example, if there has been a situations of a coup, after which there has been a kind of difficulty prevailing in maintaining the peace and tranquility of the area, then UN can send peacekeeping mission. Or there has been a war-like situation between several parties or several countries. So in the aftermath of war, whether it can be civil war or external war, in the aftermath of coup, or in the aftermath of any disturbances that have caused a country to go into chaos, there UN can send its peacekeeping mission so that a peaceful transition can take place. Now, what are the guiding principles which the UN peacekeeping mission has to follow while sending its forces? So basically there are three main guiding principles. The first guiding principle is that there should be consent of the parties. For example, if a war has break out between two countries, then in the area where the war-like situation has prevailed or where the peace has to be restored, in that area UN can send peacekeeping mission only if both the parties agree to it. For example, in case of Israel and other Islamic nations. Second objective or second guiding principle is the impartiality. That means when UN is sending its peacekeeping mission, it is not going to help any one particular country alone. Or suppose two countries are there which are at war with each other, UN cannot take partial stance in that, or UN peacekeeping forces cannot take partial stance in that. Their objective is simple: to maintain peace and tranquility without taking any of the sides. And the third and the most important guiding principle is that the soldiers which are the part of this mission, they do not have to use force under the exceptional circumstances. And what are these exceptional circumstances? The first circumstance is that in the case of self-defense, that means if someone is attacking the peacekeeping forces, then only they can use the force, or for protection of the guiding principle, or for protection of the mandate that has been given to them, they can also deploy force. Apart from that, they cannot deploy force. So these are the three major guiding principles. Now let us look at the historical background of UN peacekeeping mission. So the first instance when such mission was established was in year 1948, just 1 year after the independence of India, when the UN has to deploy its military observer in the West Asian region. So which region of West Asia? So this was mainly to monitor the armistice agreement between Israel and its Arab neighbors. So this is the first mission that UN had sent in the Israel. And in this context, the mandate of the UN peacekeeping forces extend to a situation where they can also help in security as well as political as well as peace building effort in conflict-ridden countries. So three major mandates are there: security mandate, political mandate, and peace building mandate. And it was these mandate which was fulfilled by the military observers to the West Asia. Now in this context, we have to understand that what are the blue helmets, the term that is generally associated with United Nations peacekeeping forces. So blue helmets are basically the United Nations, the military members of United Nations peacekeeping mission. And it is why they are called as blue helmet, because obviously, as you can see from this video here, that they don blue helmet and also they don blue beret. So due to this reason, they are called as blue helmet. They are generally taken from any of the countries, the member countries of United Nations, and basically, first of all, they are under the charge of their own country's military. However, they are seconded to be under the UN command for any particular objective. Overall, as of now, total 70,000 members are there who are part of blue helmets that come from different countries of the world. However, the maximum number of the blue helmets soldiers come from Asian and African countries. Now, what is the responsibilities that UN military personnel are expected to perform as a UN peacekeeping force? So first of all, they have to protect the civilians and other UN personnel. For example, there may be UN personnel who are engaged in providing medical support, or there can be health workers working under a mandate of United Nations, or there can be social workers. So their protection as well as protection of the civilians have to be undertaken by the UN military personnel. Second, they have to monitor the disputed borders, as we have seen in the case of Israel and the Palestine, and Israel and Jordan as well, and Syria as well. Similarly, observing peace process in the post-conflict areas, that means after war, ethnic cleansing, genocide, these kind of situations. So after the conflict, UN military personnel have to ensure that peace is transition. And fourth is providing security in the conflict zones, especially if visitor like some high profile delegate is visiting these areas, providing security during elections so that free and impartial election can be held, and assisting in-country military personnel with training and support, so that if a country has to build up after severe crisis or after war, then the military personnel have to be trained for their self-defense. That is also something that UN peacekeeping forces take part into. And the last is assisting ex-combatants in implementing the peace agreement. So these are the basic 7 functions and responsibilities, we can say, that a UN military personnel working under the command of UN is tasked with. So how are the people, or how are the soldiers enlisted in the blue helmets? So first of all, as we discussed, all the blue helmet soldiers or all the blue helmet military personnel are qualified military members, qualified military officers that come from the member states of United Nations. So after this, once they are elected by the United Nations headquarters, they are seconded to work under the United Nations flag for a period that may range somewhere between 1 year in the field, and on the extended terms, they can work even up to 2 to 3 years at the United Nations headquarters. And the next important point is that recently United Nations have declared in a statement that the main priority of UN is to increase the number of female military personnel, and it is one of its top priorities. Right now, if you look at the ratio of male to female in the blue helmets, so male dominated, it is a male dominated force, and that is something that UN is trying to change. So what has been the India's contribution in the peacekeeping forces? So first of all, if you look at from the data figure, we can see almost 200,000 Indians have served in almost 49 UN peacekeeping missions since 1948. To remind you, we discussed that it was in 1948 for the first time UN has to send its military observer. So since then, almost 200,000 Indian military personnel have served. Currently, or if you look at in the active terms, almost 5,581 Indian soldiers are part of various UN peacekeeping missions. Not only that, to fulfill the objective of United Nations, where it want to prioritize increasing the number of female soldiers, India in 2007 became the first country to deploy an all-women contingent to the UN peacekeeping mission. So obviously, what you can see that India has played a very active part in the UN peacekeeping missions, because it is also in accordance with the Constitution of India as well as the founding principles of India, that it wants to maintain international peace and ensure the security of the global order. However, there are some concerns which India has continuously voiced in the United Nations. So what are these concerns? First concern is that still as of now a UN mission is headquartered in Srinagar as well as Islamabad. This is a part of UN military observer group to India and Pakistan, similar on the line of Israel and the West Asian neighbors, which was established on 24th of January 1949 due to the warlike situation or the conflict that broke out between India and Pakistan. The main function and responsibilities of this military observer group was to supervise the ceasefire that was signed between India and Pakistan. And since then, UN MOGIP has remained in the region to observe the hostilities between the two countries. However, India has voiced its concern several times about this, because it says, and India has reiterated, that this particular mission has outlived its relevance. That means it no longer is relevant, and that is why it should not be stationed anymore. And why it is so? Because India says that both the countries in year 1972 has signed similar agreement, and due to this LOC or line of control has been established, and that is why the whole responsibility and role of making sure that ceasefire is not violated does not arises, and that is the reason why this particular mission should be scrapped out. So that is all about this particular UN mission, and I hope you understood about the contribution of India in this particular mission of United Nations. That is all for today. Thank you very much.